Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's great to see you on this Wednesday. We have our first official tropical watch area from the National Hurricane Center. The limit in the Gulf is going to be where we're going to be starting off this video. So, low end chance, but let's talk about how this is going to break down late this weekend into this weekend and the opportunity for some significant flooding rains. You'll see these 5-day forecasts at the bottom of your screen, and for our western areas, it's going to be significantly high rain chances and the opportunity for some heavy rain and flooding conditions. Now, what's going to be happening is Tropical Storm Christina is going to be moving inland towards Guatemala, Tegucigalpa, up towards El Salvador, the western sides of Honduras and Belize, and work its way over Mexico and into the southwest Gulf. We have this large Central American gyre, and pieces of energy of that are actually back out in the northwest Caribbean. And there's the opportunity as we get towards the weekend that the remnant low of Christina could consolidate back into the southwest Gulf and become a tropical system. Now, regardless of that, this is going to be a really wet, sloppy system with extremely heavy rainfall as it kind of meanders to the north and to the west. So the biggest concern out of this is going to be the opportunity for some heavy rainfall, and that's the next headline out of this. If you live in the northern sides of Central America or the Yucatan in general, over the next several days, you need to get prepared for the opportunity for some significant rainfall. Look, it's already breaking out right now. Showers and storms are beginning to develop on the northern sides of Honduras. We have the opportunity for some significant developing showers and storms over Belize from inland areas like San Ignacio back towards the coast, including Belize City. Showers and storms are breaking out right now, Cancun, Cozumel, and then working their way west towards Merida and the Campeche areas. And this is all in advance of the actual parent low pressure system that, again, is going to be working its way into the Gulf. Now, when we look at the actual kind of potential here from our limit, it's just a 10% chance over the next 7 days. But again, it's an official area for the Hurricane Center. It's likely to be very weak regardless. So rainfall is the biggest concern. So I'm anticipating the opportunity for maybe 6 to 8 plus inches of rain, maybe 150, 200 millimeters plus from the path of this and east of where that center goes. So again, Northern Central America, Yucatan, get prepared for significant rain over the next several days. And the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season is Arthur. So if it does become a named system, that's what it's going to end up being. Now, coming up later in the video, I'm going to talk more about the potential of what this might do once it gets into the southwest Gulf as we get into early next week. But in the short term, if you live anywhere kind of where I put this map right now, northern sides of Nicaragua north towards the Yucatan, even portions of the western sides of Cuba, Cayman Islands could get some heavy showers and storms the next couple of days as well. It's a wet, sloppy forecast for you guys coming up. Now, on the east side of this, moisture is spreading back into the southern Florida and portions of the central and the northern sides of the Bahamas as well. A lot of tropical moisture in play. There's just an abundant amount of that. I can show you that on the water vapor imagery. Anywhere that you see green is going to be that rich, deep tropical moisture. And again, clearly you can see where we have this that's streaming to the north and to the east. So it's taking the drier air that has been over the Bahamas lately and it's shoving it aside. So if you live in Andros or Bimini, Grand Bahama, New Providence, even on up towards the Abacos and Eleuthera, rain chances are likely to go higher in the next couple of days, and you'll see that on the 5-day forecast. You live in central and southern Florida as well, rain chances going higher here, a drought-stricken area. And it's not just some rain. This is pretty good instability in the atmosphere. Fair amount of lightning strikes right now. Cienfuegos on over towards Havana, back over the Yucatan patches there towards Cancun. Could see some scattered showers over Cayman Islands on this Wednesday. We're drying out over Jamaica. We had some good rainfall the last several days. This is what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery. Skies are beginning to clear for Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, back towards Lucy, Negril, and Montego Bay. So improving forecast there, but I know a lot of folks really enjoyed the rain that we've had over the last several days there, but this tropical moisture is kind of streaming away from your area and heading more north to the west. And when we look at the rest of our area, this is the delineation line, my friends, between where the tropical moisture and the opportunity for rain is and where we're going to get lucky to get a couple of showers over the next several days. So that's the next weather headline as we move through the video is there any rain in the Eastern Caribbean's forecast over the next couple of days? I can tell you in the short term, the answer is generally not much. We'll start with our friends in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now, this is one island that still has an opportunity for some rain. As a matter of fact, you'll see scrolling at the bottom of your screen, there are a couple of flood advisories in effect for portions of the Dominican Republic. It doesn't include Santo Domingo, but you can see late on this Wednesday afternoon, some thunderstorms are developing there towards the eastern side of Haiti. So that's a spot that could still get some locally heavy downpours, and it could add up to 2 to 3 inches of rain, 50 to 75 millimeters in some areas. But you move over towards Puerto Rico, at the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and it's mainly a dry forecast. Breezy conditions for today. San Juan has had winds of around 25 to 30 miles an hour. It's been a little bit blustery over St. Croix as well, but the moisture content is limited in the atmosphere for today. What's interesting is you have surface winds that are actually trying to, in some areas, sneak out of the east and southeast, while you have kind of a mid-level winds coming out of the south and the east. So there is a little bit of convergence here and even a little bit of a westerly component to some of those mid-level clouds. That could spell a couple of showers in the Leeward Islands for today. It's a little bit cloudier there late today, and it's because of the convergence of those winds right now. Anguilla, St. Bart, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, all with at least some decent rain chances. I would even include Anegada and Virgin Gorda in that as well. Now, south of there, it's a little bit quieter. Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique. Look, I'm not going to rule out a shower here, but we're talking about some pretty sparse chances overall. At least the marine forecast has looked pretty good. A little bit of building cloud coverage today on the visible satellite imagery for Barbados and St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. These are areas they're desperate for some rain, and again, an isolated shower here or there, but we're not talking about any rain that's going to help out any dry locations. Scattered showers will continue for portions of the southern sides of Trinidad, a little bit drier in Tobago. Nueva Esparta relatively dry, and after getting some decent rain over the last few days and drying out a bit yesterday in the ABC Islands, that's what I expect for most of Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire as we move towards the end of the week. So not a huge opportunity there. Now, when we look at the surface analysis, we do have a tropical wave moving through the Leeward Islands as we speak. That's why you're seeing the extra cloud coverage and the convergence of that at this point in time. But there's still not a ton of lift and moisture, relatively speaking. This broad low off of this trough is what's enhancing the rainfall back towards the Dominican Republic. Cold front has blasted through Bermuda, so it's drying out there. And again, there's just your sloppy, wet system out towards the west. More tropical waves are in the Atlantic Basin, but again, this time of the year, they're fighting the Saharan air, and so we really see the moisture more confined to the northern sides of South America than anything else. So friends, we're going to move into the forecast now. As we do so, take a quick second. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button for me, I appreciate that. Please join a fantastic community. You guys are awesome. Let me know in the comment section below. You got a question about the forecast. If you wouldn't mind liking the video as well, sharing this channel with your family and friends, I appreciate all of that support. So now let's get into the tropical models and what could be happening with our lemon in the Southwest Gulf. Again, this is coming from Christina, which is still in the Pacific. So we'll watch that circulation if it can hold together. There is some energy in the Northwest Caribbean that's going to feed into that. So as we move over the next couple of days, the first thing I want to talk about is the potential rainfall that we're going to see out of this area, and then we'll look at the tropical models. Now, again, anywhere from the Cayman Islands, the western sides of Cuba, but especially Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and the Yucatan, you need to get prepared for the opportunity for some significant rain through at least Sunday or Monday. I'll be monitoring the situation here, but check in with local officials. Flooding is a big concern, especially in some of the steeper terrain of Central America and the Yucatan. You get a few inches of rain on a daily basis, and now you really start to see some flooding coming into those low-lying areas. So that's the biggest concern I have. I'm not extremely concerned about this wrapping up into anything where the wind field is going to be so strong that we have to really watch that. Could it become a depression? Absolutely. It's even a little bit more of a stretch to get it to a tropical storm status and for it to be named Arthur. But you can see here the model as we get to the end of the weekend, there's at least a broad spin there in the southwest side of the Gulf. Now, the model that's been the most consistent at developing anything, and by the way, now that we're halfway through the video, I'm going to switch to our marine forecast, has been the European ensemble members. And that's basically what the Hurricane Center is basing this off of. I'm going to show you something else coming up in a second, but it's still, and let me just take off the marine real quick so you can see this. It's still showing a 60 to a 70% chance of development through basically late Sunday night. This would be late Sunday night into early on Monday. There's your bullseye here. Now, how much time does it have in the open waters of the Southwest Gulf before it moves into North Mexico? That's the limiting factor out of all of this. When we look at the European model, again, let me take this off one more time. I'm talking about this zone. I want you guys to see it. You can see that, again, it's fighting to see exactly where that center might form, but a few ensemble members do develop a system. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. We get a depression sometime this weekend, late this weekend, Southwest Gulf, moving into Mexico. But it's the broader rain-making possibility that I'm most concerned about. Now, the GFS models still don't show anything. The AI version of the European model don't show anything as well. I want to show you a snapshot of the Google DeepMind model, okay? Now, this fast forwards a week until next Wednesday because something very interesting with the latest run of the Google DeepMind has come up, and that is it takes the circulation but never fully brings it inland into either North Mexico or South Texas towards Brownsville and Corpus Christi. We then have a big digging trough coming out of the southern plains of the United States. That's going to bring in stronger southwest surface winds, and it's going to pull that circulation back into the Northwest Gulf. So it kind of stalls along the coast, southwest winds pull it back into the Northwest Gulf, and several members of the Google DeepMind have some kind of center of circulation at the lower levels by late Tuesday and into next Wednesday. So down the road, just food for thought, if the circulation doesn't dissipate and it doesn't pull fully inland, the Google DeepMind does try and redevelop it in the northwest side of the Gulf. Obviously, plenty of time to monitor the situation. It's the only model showing this right now of any proliferation, but we'll see how this plays out. So again, down the road, just keep that in mind that potentially we may not be done with that circulation all the way until mid next week. And what it does from there, again, something to keep an eye on. So let's talk about the rainfall potential out of this. Again, biggest concern in the short term. Where you see these areas in gray and pink, you're starting to get into several inches of rain, and then you get into kind of the maroon colors into the bright yellows. That's where we could have the most significant rain. So you're looking at a lot of Honduras into Guatemala, several inches. Now it's interesting that, again, we're cutting it close towards the Bay Islands, Roatan, Utila, Guanaja, and then look at the opportunity for some of the rainfall totals along the southern sides of Quintana Roo and into Belize. So 4, 6, 8, maybe a foot of rain, 12 inches plus as a possibility. It's not a guarantee, but I want to just discuss how moisture laden the atmosphere is, how slow moving the system is going to be, and how for several days in a row, Yucatan and the southeast sides of Mexico could get inundated with some rain, and that includes the northern sides of Central America. Havana, on over towards the west, just bringing back on the headlines. So again, we'll talk about now the rain outlook across the area. Now I've done that, I'll take it back off. But again, moving on with what we're discussing here, you can clearly see lower amounts in Jamaica, and it's all about what might be happening here. And then you can clearly see that gets towards the coastline of North Mexico and what it does from there. Looking at the European model over the next 5 days, same situation, really concerned about some of the Caribbean coastline of our area for 4, 6, 8 plus inches of rain. You get into those maroon colors on the European model and you are pushing at least 150 if not 200 millimeters of rain in these spots. Could see some decent downpours in the central and southern sides of Florida, scattered showers over the Bahamas, and again, from Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands to the Lesser Antilles, not a lot of rain over the next 5 days. Brisk easterlies, right? And again, just a reminder that if we were to see anything developing tropically, especially in an El Nino June, it's close to home. It's the Gulf. Climatologically, it's right where it should be. We still have a lot of shear and those strong easterlies in the Caribbean, which is not producing any kind of opportunity for development there, but it is going to continue to elevate some seas. I expect there to see fresher winds return to the ABC Islands, southern coastline of Hispaniola. Jamaica will likely see some building wave heights over the next few days. That could translate to the northwest side of the Caribbean. And again, if anything tries to consolidate in the Western Gulf, obviously it's going to elevate some sea conditions there. Otherwise, the Bahamas looks pretty good. Turks and Caicos looks pretty good. It's a good cruising forecast for Puerto Rico and the portions of the Virgin Islands as well. I'll bring back on these marine forecasts so you guys can see. But the good news is, if you take a look at the Bahamas forecast, it's not a horrible forecast there. Max wave heights of less than 3 feet for Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas. We'll take that forecast anytime. So again, reiterating what we've been discussing in the video for today. A lot of rain and the opportunity for some flooding anywhere from really South Florida, but especially into the northwest sides of the Caribbean, including northern sides of Central America and the Yucatan. Our first designated area for the Hurricane Center, it's just a 10% chance. Likely it is not going to develop, but it is going to bring some significant widespread rain to these areas. And then we'll see if that circulation dissipates as it tries to push into Mexico, or whether something like the Google DeepMind model pulling it back into the Western Gulf early to mid next week is something that we need to consider as well. So all the rain is out west, lighter showers and really brisk winds out east, but a drier, better forecast for our eastern zones. Friends, I'll continue to monitor the situation. Again, you got a question, drop it in the comments section below. On the way out, thanks for liking and subscribing. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with your latest forecast.